Where do things stand as of right now?
Well, Greeny, here's what I'm hearing. Multiple league sources are not overly optimistic that this deal gets done. They believe that Dak Prescott signing his franchise tag tender last month concedes that this is going to be really tough to do. There hasn't been a lot of traction on both sides over the last few months. They've been far apart in both money and number of years. Dak wants 4 years. The team wants longer than that. And so they have been working on this for the better part of the year, though, so they're going to give it one last push. I expect some fireworks over those last 24 hours before that July 15th, 4 p.m. deadline. They want to get it done, but there's been some problems here and a lot of roadblocks, so they're going to try to push through it.
And also a lot of questions that a lot of fans out there have about Dak Prescott and his place in all of this. And yesterday, Jeremy, we showed here this poll that you did of 50 executives and other people around the National Football League ranking the top quarterbacks in the NFL. And Dak Prescott came in at number 9, which to most of us seemed about right. He had huge numbers last year, but there's one thing worth pointing out, and that is that the 8 quarterbacks ahead of him on this list all made the playoffs last year, and his team did not. Jeremy, what did the executives that you talked to say about Dak while you were putting together this list?
Well, Greeny, almost everybody I talked to said he is a top 10 quarterback, but he's mostly in that 7 to 10 range. He didn't get enough top 5 votes to push a little higher. That's why Carson Wentz in Philadelphia edged him out in that 8th spot because, he had more support as a top 5 guy from some, as a creator outside of the pocket, maybe did more with a lesser supporting cast in Philadelphia. Look, everybody acknowledges Dak checks a lot of boxes. He plays 16 games a year. He wins about 10 games a year. His numbers were great throwing the deep ball last year and throwing under pressure. It's just he gets knocked for his supporting cast. It was a common refrain when talking to execs about, say, a Matthew Stafford. People would say, well, imagine what he would do in Dallas with Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, and all those weapons at offensive line. So the fact that Dak hasn't done enough with that crew, particularly in the playoffs, hurts him here.
All right, let me bring in my football players for this morning, and they are Domonique, Foxworth, and Rob Ninkovich. And Nick, we have gotten to a stage in our relationship now where every time Dak Prescott's name is mentioned, you are the first person that I think of. And anyone who watches this show knows your feelings for him. You are a huge admirer. So, as you see him, first and foremost, ranked at number 9 amongst NFL quarterbacks, does that seem too high, too low, or just about right?
I mean, I think it seems absolutely too low, but I understand it's hard to kind of split hairs. But if the question is that, or the knock against him is his supporting cast is too good, I don't understand how Carson Wentz gets away being slightly ahead of him when the best we've seen from Carson Wentz was when his supporting cast was good enough to win a Super Bowl without him at quarterback. So I don't know. We're splitting hairs at this point, but I think Dak deserves more respect than he's getting. And holding playoff wins or Super Bowl championships against him just as a quarterback, to me, seems unfair. When you watch him play, you understand that he is the engine to that offense, the catalyst, and he's made that team much better than they would be without him. He's obviously a franchise quarterback that the Cowboys would be silly to mess around with and potentially lose in a couple of years.
All right, Ninkovich, so it's one thing to give the guy respect. It's another thing to give him a whole lot of money. Would you right now make, as you look at what Mahomes made and you look at what Russell Wilson makes as the second highest paid quarterback at $35 million a year, are you ready to give Dak that times 5?
Well, no, I'm not, because look, what's the one thing that Russell Wilson and Pat Mahomes have? That's a Super Bowl ring. So when you look at Dak, he's not there. He's not at the $35 million a year mark because of the fact that he's not winning the big game. And when I think of Pat Mahomes signing that huge $500 million contract that he just signed, $500+ million, I think that hurts Dak, because if you are Jerry Jones, you're not going to look at that contract and say, okay, by July 15th, I'm going to go out there and pay Dak $40 million a year. It's just not going to happen. So right now, I think they're just going to say, all right, we'll play it out. If you go deep into the playoffs and you get us a championship, well, then we'll go to that 40 to 45 million range.
Can I bring something up to you, Domonique, if I may? Sure. If you're going to advise your client on this? Do you know that if he plays on the franchise tag this year and next, and this is what I meant in the tease when I said I have 7 reasons he shouldn't sign a deal? If he plays on the franchise tag this year and next, Dak Prescott will make $7 million more than any other player in the National Football League over the next 2 seasons. It's not bad work if you can get it. The franchise tag is not created equal for every position, and for the quarterback, Domonique, it's not that bad.
Yeah, no, I think you're probably right, which is why I think Dak has a ton of leverage right now, which is why I think that he will get paid more than Russell Wilson in this particular situation. I don't think he'll rival Patrick Mahomes, but he'll get more than Russell Wilson because of those points that, or because of the things I pointed out, and then that point you put on top of it. The franchise tag is not for franchise quarterbacks. The purpose of the franchise tag is if you have a player that you're not sure about, or a player that you just want to hold on for one more year or a couple more years. It's not for a guy that you want to sign up long term, because I think it hurts the organization more than it hurts the player. Because as you know, not only will he make more money than Russell Wilson, he could potentially be more detrimental and on the cap, because when you sign a long-term deal, you can amortize the bonus over that whole deal. It doesn't affect the cap nearly as badly as one big lump sum of $30 million. You can move that money around. So it's not good for the Cowboys. You could argue that it's great for Dak Prescott to play on a franchise tag this year and next year and then become a free agent. But the Cowboys better get their numbers up and get their years down to sign Dak up, or they're going to be without him.
Yep. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.